Monkey D. Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hats are setting sail for the Grand Line in the second season of the Netflix live-action adaptation of One Piece. Now, I've never seen the anime or read the manga, so can a non-fan get into this series? Luffy and the Straw Hats set sail for the extraordinary Grand Line, where danger and wonder awaited every turn. As they journey through this unpredictable realm in search of the world's greatest treasure, they encounter bizarre islands and a host of formidable new enemies. This second season is 8 hour-long episodes, and they're chunky as we follow Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, and Sanji as they approach the Grand Line in search of the One Piece. Now, to stay away from spoilers, I won't say specifically who all the crew come into contact with this time, but we get some very unique and exciting characters who continue to make the world fantastic and surreal. Now, I'm continuously impressed at how just about anything can exist within the world of One Piece. I mean, just looking at the costumes, these range from just about every time period that has existed, with characters wearing pure pirate getups to people walking around in jeans and parkas looking as they stepped out of a catalog from 2025. In other shows, this might be a strange aesthetic, but here it allows for so much creativity and imagination. When the show refuses to be bound by a time or a style, the story can go anywhere and incorporate anything, which then increases the fun just simply through all of the variations and possibilities. And that creativity also extends to the characters and their abilities as well. Thanks to the Devil Fruits, we get a plethora of new skills or powers. And the show actually makes a joke to acknowledge just how many different alternatives exist, letting us know that while it may seem a bit ridiculous, it's also ingrained within the storytelling. So all of these characters having all these powers, it's not out of place. And the action continues to be spectacular, with many episodes featuring some extended, continuous fight sequences that allow the characters to fully show off the choreography while the camera spins and weaves through the setting to capture all the frenetic energy. Although most of the wild action comes from Makinu's Zoro, Taz Skylar's Sanji gets in on a lot of the melees too, making for long takes of controlled chaos. And thanks to the new locations the Straw Hats travel to on the Grand Line, there are also a ton more opportunities for chases, fights, just general mayhem, all helping to support the excitement and keep the tension and momentum steady for the storytelling. Now, as somebody who hasn't watched the anime, nor have I read the manga, I have no idea where the show is headed or who the characters are going to come into contact with. Despite that, though, the story had me hooked. There are several deeply emotional arcs that are interwoven into this narrative, so that it isn't just a generic swashbuckling action show, which wouldn't necessarily be bad, it just may not be as memorable. Here, though, some tear-jerking moments create weighty stakes for the players, building suspense as an episode just flows right into the next one. But with the dramatic and engaging storytelling, there was a segment in the penultimate episode that was made up mainly of a flashback. Now, this felt as though it was halting the momentum, as we focused on a storyline of a brand new character. And I guess that this new addition is going to become integral as the show continues, but during this season, it appears as though the show took us on a tangent that was potentially more filler than story progression. Ultimately, the episode did work, and it creates a lot of heart within the overall tale, so it's not wasted time, but it still slows down the pace to take just about a full episode to introduce a brand new player. There are also a few storylines that pop in and out, seeming like they're more important at the beginning of the season than by the end. There's a character named Smoker, and while I'm loving the costuming and just his whole vibe, his inclusion feels prominent when the show kicks off and then gets almost forgotten about for many episodes. And because of all the funky powers and imaginative ideas the characters come into contact with, there's obviously going to be a hefty amount of CGI employed. Now, almost all of it looked wonderful. There are a few moments here and there in a couple of episodes that the graphics look a bit more cartoony than photorealistic, but on the whole, it's impressive to see the detail that goes into forming the textures and the skins. But going back, though, to the 7th episode and then even into the 8th episode, where a character's appearance, it just becomes shockingly off. Now, I don't give much away, but when a character uses a skill, they look like something out of Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. The appearance was just shocking. Not in a great way, though. Now, if you're into character growth, this season showcases many of the crew learning and improving themselves for the betterment of the whole group. Some of it is subtle, like a colder and more solitary character opening up a bit and then becoming somewhat more warmer and inclusive to the rest, while another is way more obvious as they just embrace confidence and then become bolder and more fearless when it's called upon. I continue to love Luffy's persona. He's the embodiment of positivity and compassion, despite being a pirate. There are some lines that are used to describe him by a couple of the other characters, saying something to the effect that he's got qualities that are difficult to describe, but they're obvious when on display, typically referring to how much he will risk anything for his friends or even people who just need help. The core cast demonstrates a great amount of chemistry, building a believable friend group that may not always see eye to eye, but who are fiercely protective of each other and then fully support Luffy's search for the One Piece. This not only makes for an exciting adventure, but also one that's uplifting and highly addictive. I binged the whole season in a day, and while it was chunky and it did take up the whole day, I couldn't get to the next episode fast enough to see what the characters were going to encounter next, and then where the adventure was going to take them. It was teased through dialogue before they approached the Grand Line that there were many islands that they could come into contact with. So far, they've been full of danger, excitement, strange perils, and then fantastical creatures. While it has been about 3 years between seasons, the storytelling is enveloping and deep, with emotional beats that tug at heartstrings and action that's both artistically choreographed and expertly captured. The new characters are vividly imagined to bring to life a world that is both tangible and wondrous, mixing time periods, genres, and all sorts of aesthetics to maintain a fresh and unique perspective for every area and land the crew encounters. Some of the story arcs do feel a bit neglected. There can be too many villainous adversaries introduced at once, and some of the makeup and prosthetics for a particular character are nightmare fuel in a bad way. But the show still delivers exciting arcs, thrilling fight sequences, touching character moments, and mayhem that's designed to appeal to just about all ages. I am fully in for wherever Monkey D. Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hats get themselves tangled in. I just hope we can get the third season delivered a little bit faster. There's no sex or nudity, a lot of profanity, and then a ton of violence. I give One Piece Into the Grand Line 4 out of 5 couches. So are you a fan of the anime or the manga? How does the show compare to the source material? Maybe, though, you've never seen or read that non-live action stuff. So who's your favorite character? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.